Hello, Power App makers. This is Ahmed Saleh again with you. Today I have a full tutorial about the model-driven apps, custom pages, and the integration with Canvas apps. In this scenario, we have uh, an orders model-driven app that track orders, and we would like to create a custom page where we can actually get some shipping information from a SharePoint list related to a selected record from the model driven app. So what we're gonna do, we will use a command button. It's a custom one. We will show how we can show this command button when there is a record is selected on the main grid. We also can do extra work if we want to show that button inside the main form of that record in the model driven app. Let's hop in and I will show you exactly the steps where we're going to do all of this. Here you go. So here we have, let's start by here. So what we have here, we're going to start by creating the custom page, which will create a Canvas Power App basically. And then we will create a custom ribbon button or command button, and this button will only be visible when there is one selected record in the model-driven app grid, and this is going to be the main grid. Here we're gonna also have to create a web resource. It's a JavaScript to load basically, or to open that custom page that we will create it. So let's start by just one step at a time. So we're gonna come here and we're gonna go ahead and start by creating the custom page. All right, so this is here, what we have here, we have our model-driven apps. It's among these apps, and I think I have it open here. So we have it right here. I already created this shipping page. So I'm gonna just show you an example of what exactly they're gonna be the end product of this, or after we finish everything, how it look like. So I'm running my model-driven app now. And as you can see, I have two only pages. One page actually has the orders, which is, the order table, and one page has the custom page, which is the shipping page. What I want to do when I select a record here, I want to show this command bar, which is shipping, right? And it's only if I select one. So because if I select two of them, it will also be hide. So if I select one of them, let's say I will select this one here, or let's just select this one here, for example. Actually, I don't have information for that one in the SharePoint. So I have this one here. And then once I select that, I click shipping, and you can see I have the side dialog actually pop up from the side from the screen. What happened is whatever I selected here was passed this to this custom page. So this is the information. This is an edit form control. And what I do, if I have anything like order items related to this order, it will show up right here because I have a gallery. So let's actually check one of those. I think that they have, I think this one has it. So let's check this one. Yeah, probably this one does it. So let's try this one here. Diego. Yep. So Diego has some order items. So it has the mango, banana. Actually, all of them they have to have it. It's just I've been playing with this testing data, so deleting some stuff. So I have Diego. I selected here in the main grid in the model driven app. I can see it here. This is a Canvas app in the custom page, or the custom page is basically a Canvas app, right? So it has all this information, and if I click actually shipping information, if I have any shipping information for Diego in the SharePoint list, it will show up here. And then if I see that it's being shipped, then I can click confirm. And what's gonna happen is actually the status of this order will actually change, right? So this is basically the end result of this. And so let's actually go back and see what we have done. So here, as I said, create a custom page, and in the custom page, you will give it a name. You will create a new custom page. That's our first step. I have the custom page here, so what I do, I will just edit basically for you guys to just see what I have done. So this is, we'll create our custom page, and now it's just opening the custom page. Here you go. So in this custom page, I have only two screens. I have the first screens and I have the second screen. Again, Microsoft recommend that custom page should only have one screen. But you know, if that's the recommendation, but you can have multiple. To have multiple in a custom page, you have actually to change something in the settings. And if you go to the upcoming features preview, you will have to oh sorry, it's actually in general. Yeah, you go to general and you actually have to let's see, where is it? It's right here. That's the enable on start display. It's in the display, sorry. So it's in the display. You can go and enable multiple screens, so you have to allow multiple screen in this custom page. Again, it is preferred to have multiple custom pages with a single screen each for each of the scenario, right? But again, I'm using this now just an example that you can do it. You can have multiple screens, you can navigate between these multiple screens without any problem, but this is basically the recommendation. What I have in the first screen, this is actually a container, and again, this is just for responsive control views. I have inside the container, I have the form. This form data source is the orders, and this is basically the same order table, right? This is the same order table I have in the model-driven app. And then the item property of this, it's actually a global variable called record item. And this will take me to the onVisible property of my screen, my first screen. Here, when the user click on that button, there is parameter will be passed to the function, to the JavaScript function. And I can receive or read these parameters by using the param function here. So I will set a variable called var record ID, and I get that record ID. The record ID that I will receive, it's the GUID value of the selected record in the main grid in the model-driven app. Again, if we go here, if I select this item and I click on it, let's just click and go there, you can see that this item here, Diego, has an ID, as you can see. This ID I will pass to my JavaScript that run when I click the button, the shipping button right here, right? And then in the custom page, I will get this value on a variable, and I will also create a record global variable. I will call it record item, and I'm looking up into the orders table using the GUID column in that table equal to the GUID function, and you need to pass, basically this is going to be as a text. So this is a text value, but you want to convert it to a GUID value, so I use the GUID function. And here you can see that I have used this record item as an item property of my form right here, right? The second thing I have in this screen, I have a gallery, and this gallery basically I filter the order items, which is another table, and this table order items, it's not even in this model-driven app, but it is in my Dataverse. So I filter this order items using the GUID, which is basically, this is the lookup column in the order item, and this order item is related to the order table. So I'm using the lookup column dot orders GUID, which is the column in the orders table, equal the GUID of the var record ID, which is again the text that was passed of the selected record in the main grid in the model-driven app. Last thing I have here, I have this shipping info button, and on the select property, what I do, I navigate to the other screen that I have here, the screen shipping info, and then I also pass along a context variable called var order number, and I pass the order number, which is the DC order dot value, and this value is coming from right here. So basically, this is one of the fields, and this field has the order number. I have the order number in this field right here, right? So this is this data card has the order number field, and I just pass the value as the order number. And then we go to the second screen, and in this other screen, and this is what I have here, I have a gallery, and basically I filter the shipping information. The shipping information is the SharePoint that I have, SharePoint list that I have. And if I can edit the data right here and give it a second to open. See, this is what I have here. This is a SharePoint list. Basically, it can be connected to another system, and you can pass some of the information of the orders, along with items and other stuff. And the shipping department will go ahead and ship that that product or that order, and then update the information right here. So they will update tracking number, they will update the carrier, and the shipping address is something that you can pass along. Again, this is nothing. We haven't done any kind of automation in the shipping side with the SharePoint, but imagine that you can do a lot of stuff here. What we want to do is, once we have a piece of information here related to our model-driven app selected record, which is obviously, it has a tracking number and it has been shipped, we would like to use this as part of the integration in our custom page. So what I did here is basically filter that shipping information SharePoint list with the order number that I passed when I clicked the button from the previous screen, and that's basically it. And again, I have another button here, and this button will only be visible if actually there is shipping information in the SharePoint list for this selected record, right? So that's why if I go back to my table here and I click shipping, and I think they might, this one has some information. Yes, this one has, so I can actually see the information here. But if I actually go to Diego and then click shipping, and then like if I want to see the shipping information, I don't see anything and I cannot access that button. And the reason for that, because I don't have any shipping information for this order for Diego, right? Okay. So this is basically the screens that I have. And then this button here, as I showed you, if it's showed, that's mean we have shipping information. User actually can go ahead and click the button, and what that will do is we'll update that record in the model-driven app canvas record, the canvas, the Dataverse record. It will update it with a status, so we'll change the shipping status to shipped, right? So the next step that we have here, if I go back, so we're gonna go back to our model-driven app, and we are in the edit designer or the designer mode. And the second thing we'll do is actually create that custom page, custom button, or command button. So you will actually go to the page where you have the orders, the order table, and then you click edit command bar. And then for this is going to be the main grid. So that's mean the main grid that we see, so basically the active view that's showing on the page in the model-driven app. And then you click edit, right? Here, I already have added this. You just go ahead and click new. And once it finishes initializing here, I will show you the option that you will get here. So if you click here new, then you click command, right? And this is what will create this one. So basically what I did, I changed actually the label to shipping, and I added an icon, as you can see. The icon is basically just a web resource that you add. And the web resource, remember, you can add basically images, right? These images, prefer to be SVG formatting or formats. You select that, you upload the image, you give it a name, you give it a logical name, and you say the type is basically is going to be like wherever, image format that you have, and you use this basically web resource as your icon for this button, right? This button, when it's being clicked, it will run a JavaScript. And as you can see here, there's something other than this, which is I'm using the visibility that to show on condition from the formula, and I'm using here this formula here. So control self dot selected. So self here is basically referring to the main grid that we have in our model driven app. So if we go here in our model driven app and we click on the page orders, So this is basically the main grid, right? This is where we're gonna create this shipping button right here, right? So here, self is referring to this grid. So basically what I'm saying here, if self.selected.all items equal 1 and only 1, again, if you want to pass multiple, you can do that. So basically we'll just have to make this more, it's basically greater than 0. And that will show this button then. If you remember, you know, the behavior of this was when I select a record, it will show the button. So I don't see the button right here in the main grid, right? But if I select 1, it will show the button. If I select 2, it will hide them. And this is because my condition is only to select 1, right? The other thing we have here, obviously, our JavaScript. So the JavaScript, basically, again, you add a library, and if you have a web resource, you search for it. If you don't, you create one. And again, it's the same thing you do with the image. You upload your JavaScript file, you give it a name, and a type is gonna be obviously the JavaScript, right? What we have here as a code for our JavaScript, it will be this function right here. So basically I have a function called show shipping page. I pass a parameter to this function. So every time this function or this code is running, basically there is a parameter will be passed in. And that parameter that will be passed in, it's a parameter that we add here. You add a parameter and you select among those parameters. So you can pass string and give it a value, for example, if you want to do that. You can Boolean, you can pass a number. But for us, we would like to pass the ID or the GOID value of the selected record in the main grid, right? And that one is in the selected control selected item ID. So this is basically what you have to select. And this is what we have there. So you can pass multiple parameters also. And in that case, your function will have to have obviously multiple parameters that you will use right here. So here we are passing the selected control selected item ID. After that, I'm just declaring some variables. So selected record ID is going to be the passed parameter, and then I will declare another variable. It's going to be a page input, and it will have multiple values. The page type is custom. That's just to say that this is a custom page. The logical name of that custom page that we created. And then the record ID will be the selected record ID that we received as a parameter. Then we will actually declare another variable. It will have a target of 2, position of 2 to have a side position of that panel. And then you can actually add width as value, and then a title for that custom page. And then the last thing, use the xrm.navigation.navigate2 function, and you pass to this the page input and the navigation options basically. Also, I have 2 functions. One functions to run after this code successfully run, previous code successfully run, or if there is any error, to catch that error and have a function here to handle the error. So this is our JavaScript, and that's it, right? So that's everything we have right here. And now let's go ahead and test this in our new actually item here or order, I would say, for Diego, right? So I know that Diego order, I have Diego order here, this order number. So I'm going to copy this order number. I'm going to go to the SharePoint list. I'm going to add a new record here, and title 3, I will give the order number. So this is going to be Diego number, and I will just, let's say that we have now a random tracking number. The carrier will say USPS, and then shipping address, it can be obviously supposed to be Diego address, but again, this is just for showing you, but this information could be passed previously, once that order created, passed to this SharePoint, and then you have the SharePoint team, the shipping team have an access to this, so they get that there is a new order. Once they ship it, they come here and update the information, right? And now I'm gonna go ahead and save this one, right? So now we have Diego. Order has been basically shipped and we have a tracking number. So let's go ahead and run the app again. So this is here Diego, and I'm gonna click shipping. You can see my custom page is opening. Diego order is right here, and this is obviously an order. Obviously it can be only view, so I don't need to really do anything here on this edit form. And then I will click shipping information, and then I can see that I have information, and I can see the button now is actually, you know, visible for me, so I can change the status, right? Before that, remember that the status of Diego order is not shipped. So just to remember that. So what we're gonna do, go shipping. I see that it has been shipped, and then I click shipped. All right, okay, and I can see that Diego order status has been already shipped, as you can see right here, right? So it's already been shipped and it's updated the information on the Dataverse column. All right, one thing I did here is basically these icon here. Some people asked before how we format a column on the model-driven apps or you know, Dataverse views to show an icon based on a value. So, and that's gonna be the last thing I have here for you. And this is basically, we have this JavaScript code. Again, use JavaScript for this. So it's one function, and it take one parameter, or one parameter, and then here I use the JSON.parse. I pass that parameter, which is all the grid data. So that means all the data I have in the main grid, I pass them to this function right here. And then you get the current record status. So basically this is the status. This is the column name where you have that status. And then what we do, we use switch function. If in case that shipping status is shipped, it says shipped, then the image that we get, this is basically a web resource image, the same way we created that web resource for the command button. That's the same way. And then the tooltip, it will be shipped as well. So you can have a tooltip as well, right? So basically, if it's not shipped, and here it's another icon, tooltip is not shipped, and then I create an array of all these value and I return them these value. To do this basically, or to update this in your view, so you just go to your view of, in this case is going to be our view in the order table, right? I have my JavaScript, I go to the active order view, and then I edit. And here you have to switch to classic to edit this view. There is no way until now to do it in the modern designer, to my knowledge. You select that shipping status column and change properties. And here, as you can see, the web resource. So this is basically my JavaScript function or code, web resource, and I pass the function name in that JavaScript shipping status. Remember this, right? And that's it. And then you select OK, and this will do the trick for you. I hope you enjoy this video. I have all the information with the screenshots in my blog post in this video. So check it out, and I will see you next time.